This summer is going to be the most intense summer we've ever done because we're going to teach you verse by verse expository teaching right through the entire Sermon on the Mount. Now, how many of you guys have heard of the Sermon on the Mount? Let's count it up in the feed right now. Hit like right now if you heard it. Now, why was it called Sermon on the Mount? Well, because Jesus gave a sermon and it was on the Mount. That's why. In fact, this is the longest section of Jesus' teaching in the entire Bible. Literally, Jesus starts at chapter 5 and it says they sat down and then Jesus starts teaching and 3 chapters later, he's still teaching. Most theologians would say it was the greatest sermon ever preached by the greatest preacher that ever lived. So, later on today when somebody asks you what you did and you say, well, I went to church online, you can tell them you heard the greatest sermon ever preached by the greatest preacher that ever lived. Let them hang on that for a second. Then make sure they know that it was Jesus and not me. And the Sermon on the Mount is the most famous teaching Jesus ever gave. Unfortunately, it's the least obeyed. Why is it the least obeyed? Because the content, it's kind of crazy. I mean, you read it today and you might think, Jesus lost it. I mean, when Jesus starts teaching, everything you and I think we know, we don't know. Everything we think is right side up, it's upside down. All the people you thought were tight with God, they're actually the most distant. All the people we think God would kick out, he actually invites in. I mean, Jesus, when he teaches, Jesus, he wrecks you. For example, dumbest fight you ever heard is in this sermon. What does Jesus say? He says, if someone hits you, turn the other. Yeah, you heard it too. If someone decks you, you let them deck you again? I mean, every 5th grader on the playground knows, you hit me, I'm gonna punch you out. Another crazy thing from Jesus. If somebody forces you to walk a mile, walk 2? Are you kidding me? I mean, how many of you would be calling an Uber? Friends, we are going to dive deep this summer. This is no lightweight, fluffy summer in the Psalms here at The Point. This is like Jesus saying, you're spending money wrong. You got sex wrong. You got marriage wrong. The way you think about God is wrong. How much you worry about God is wrong. Your prayer life is wrong. Your desire to impress other people is wrong. The way you're treating people is wrong. Jesus is literally saying every single thing you think is upside down and backwards. Have you ever been at a point in your life where you're going one direction and then God drops something on you and turns you 180 degrees? That ever happened to you, any of you watching? That will happen this summer. And this summer, I've got 3 challenges for you. First challenge, the Sermon on the Mount. It literally takes 10 minutes to read. And I'm going to challenge you right now to read the entire Sermon on the Mount every week. You don't like reading? Read it anyway. Or cheat and have the YouVersion Bible read it to you. You say, well, how many weeks do I need to read it? Well, we're not doing lightweight stuff this summer. We're going to invest 8 weeks in the most amazing sermon ever given. So, challenge 3, invest 10 minutes a week for 8 weeks. You in? Put challenge accepted in the feed. Don't you wimp out, accept the challenge. Friends, if you are hungry, if you want to be inspired, if you want to be challenged, if you want to grow, well, you're in the right place. If you want fluffy and flaky, well, we ain't serving that junk in the summer of 2020. So, challenge number 2. We're dropping all 8 weeks here online. 1 message every week. On Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on our website, and Lord, I pray soon that we'll be back on our campus doing this live. But wherever you listen, I want to challenge you to listen to all 8 messages. Don't miss a single one. You going on summer vacation? Great. We could all use a vacay. Watch it on your phone while you're on vacation. Vacation from work. Don't vacation from the Lord. So here's challenge 2. Watch all 8 Sermon on the Mount messages. You in? Put challenge accepted in the feed. You can't dive deep if you're nowhere near the water of his word. All right, read the Sermon on the Mount every week. Watch all 8 messages. And oh boy, I cannot wait to give you challenge 3. But it's not for the week. I'm going to give you challenge 3 at the end of this message. All right, we're going to launch into the Sermon on the Mount with the Beatitudes. That's how it begins. Beatitude is Latin for happy. Jesus tells this crowd, and you and I, that everything we've thought about happiness, it's wrong. Here's how Matthew describes the scene. Matthew 5:1. Now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up onto a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. I love this about Jesus. He was always interested in the crowds. He saw them, and he was always trying to turn the crowd into the church. He was always interested in helping people who felt like they were far from God get close to God. So it says Jesus began to teach them. And what you're going to notice is that this is the only place in the Bible where Jesus repeats the same word over and over and over and over. What word is that? It's the word blessed. 8 times Jesus says, blessed are the. And again, that word means happy. And as I read who Jesus says is happy, you're gonna think he's nuts. Have you ever had some kid tell you a ridiculous story and you look at them and you say, come on, really? Or are you serious? Well, get ready, friends, because that's what you're going to think as you hear who Jesus says is truly happy. We're going to start by reading the first of these Beatitudes, and then we're going to dive deep into them. Here's how Jesus starts. Verse 3, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Sorry, I mean no disrespect here. I just want to be real about how this actually sounds, because happy are the poor in spirit. I mean, that sounds like Jesus is a few crayons short of a full box. I mean, give me a yes in the feed right now if you would like to be poor in spirit. Here's the next one, verse 4. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Okay, I'm going to be a lot more happier if I'm sad? What? Or look at verse 5. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Meek? Seriously? I mean, can you see any elementary school kid thinking the way to success at the playground this summer is to be meek? No way. Here's another, verse 6. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Hunger. Oh yeah, I'm really happy when my stomach's growling, when I'm starving. Again, no disrespect, Jesus, but he's definitely hooking his audience, but nobody has a clue what he's saying. They all want to know what you're talking about, Jesus. Well, in a few short sentences, what Jesus has done is he's unveiled 3 secrets to true happiness in life. You really want to be happy? You want to have less stress and more joy? Then lean into what Jesus is saying. And I like that Jesus starts his sermon with the word blessed or happy, because let's admit it, some of us grew up in a religious culture where those in charge convinced us that God was anti-happy. In other words, if you want to be spiritual, you got to be miserable. Some of you have grown up in churches or other religious settings where laughing in a church, I mean, it's never going to happen. There was no laughing, no celebrating, no clapping, and the church leaders, well, their face looked like the book cover for Lamentations. So your view of God was that God must be angry, domineering, scary, like some kind of cosmic killjoy that wants to be sure that nobody's having any fun. Of course, on the other side of that kind of religious upbringing are the tycoons of Hollywood and our culture who consistently preach the message that if you buy this or that, or if you own this or that, well, if you have more stuff, more money, more means what? Happiness. But the reality of our human condition in the summer of 2020 here in America and abroad is that depression is the common human condition. Mental health experts tell us that depression is 10 times more common in our day than in Jesus' day. And well, Jesus didn't have air conditioning or a neighborhood pool or a car or his own place. We're richer, we have more stuff, we're educated, we've got more hair products and cosmetics than all the people in Jesus' crowd put together, and yet we're depressed, we're sad. And here's a mind-blowing stat. Therapists report that the onset of depression has moved from age 29 and a half back in 1960 to age 14 now today. 14-year-old kids should not be carrying the weight of depression. They should be carefree. I mean, if you're a kid and you're depressed, then something in our culture here in 2020 has gone terribly wrong. Would you agree? Jesus tells us, your thinking, it's all messed up. You don't even understand happiness. So let me help you. I want you happier, Jesus says. So here's 3 secrets to get you there. The third secret, I tell you, it's the least known. It's something you've never heard before. But all 3 secrets are extraordinary. And the first one is, happy are the humble. That's what verse 3 is all about. Blessed are the poor in spirit. That's what it's about. And if you think it through, it makes sense. I mean, how many of us like to hang out with people who are arrogant and prideful and do nothing but brag on themselves? See, our culture says, assert your rights, tell people how great you are, and make sure people know, right? And so we snap pictures of ourselves. Wait, we don't call them pictures anymore. What do we call them? Selfies, right? That's the nomenclature. We snap selfies. We delete the ones that make our nose look big or whatever, and we develop this carefully curated life on Instagram or Facebook or a Snap. I mean, it's very selfie-centered, isn't it? If I want to know what to think about someone, all I got to do is check their Instagram or Facebook, because for most people, the subject of their Instagram, the subject of their Facebook is what? Themselves. And what Jesus is saying is the pathway to happiness is humility. And to be clear here, let's define humility. Because Jesus, he's not talking about some woe is me lifestyle. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. Humility is thinking about yourself less. See, the more you're interested in the lives of other people, in their happiness, the happier you become. And Jesus knows that because he created us. He knows the secret to happiness is not a selfie-taking, Instagram-centered, TikTok version of ourselves. No, that's self-centered. Jesus is telling the crowds, he's telling us that the first secret to happiness is to be humble. The second secret, Jesus unveils. And again, it's like it doesn't make any sense. But he says, this is verse 4, blessed are those who mourn. Let me put it like this. It's secret two. Happy are the hurting. See, our culture teaches us avoid pain at all costs. Cover it up. You know, if you're sad, get drunk. If you're feeling stressed or lonely, take drugs. If you're unhappy and needing to feel good, buy stuff. But whatever you do, ignore the pain, medicate it, pretend it isn't there. But Jesus says some of the most profound seasons of growth in your life will arrive in the wrappings of pain and difficulty. Tough times in your life and mine, they develop character and compassion in a way that no other season in your life can manufacture. In fact, some aspects of your character, like perseverance and toughness and patience, they can only be developed in the furnace of pain. I'm working on a course right now for those who want to get married. And one thing I always share with couples is the answer to the question, when is a person ready for marriage? And without fail, nearly every answer I get is an age. Oh, they're ready at 18, or they're ready at 20, or 25, or 30, or they're not ready till they're 95, right? But the indicator for marriage readiness is not related to how many years you spend on this planet. It's not an age. No, you're only ready for marriage when you've developed a high capacity to keep a commitment when life gets hard. That's when you're ready. And yes, that means some young people, they're just not ready. They don't have the chops for a commitment like that. But it also means some 55-year-olds should not head to the altar because, you know, the second things get tough for them, they flaked out quick. You guys know what I'm talking about? Give me an amen on the feet. So Jesus, he's literally saying here, happy are the hurting. And you know, for us Christians in America, we really don't get this because we've not yet been persecuted. I think of those of you who are watching in China right now. Chinese Christians, there's 67 million of you. And although your government is atheistic, you can't stop the growth of the Christian faith in China. Did you know that by the year 2030, China is going to have more Christians than any other nation in the world? They'll have more Christians than America will have Americans. And here's a major reason why. Chinese Christians make commitments to the faith that us Americans, we haven't even considered. And when you join a small group in China, they give everybody in the group a commitment card, and everybody agrees to it. Here's what it says. If the government says they'll take my home if I talk about Jesus, then take it. I'll use the opportunity to travel widely and spread the gospel. If the government says they're going to beat me with batons, I'll embrace that as a way to glorify God. If the government says they're going to throw me in prison, I'll just share the gospel behind bars. If the government says they're going to toss me in solitary for telling other people about Jesus in prison, I'll spend solitary praying and meditating on the scriptures I've memorized. If the government says they're going to kill me because I live for Jesus, I welcome the promotion. Go ahead. I get to go to heaven. See, you cannot control a person who is unafraid of you, who is unafraid of suffering. And perhaps this is why China is poised for massive change and will become a Christian nation despite their government's denial of Jesus. So happy are the hurting, happy are the humble. And here's the third secret. It's definitely the least known. Jesus says in verse 5, blessed are the meek. What? What in the world does that mean, Jesus? Because meek is not anything here in America that we would consider a positive thing, a happy thing. In America, meek means weak. But write this down because it's not well known. Jesus is saying, here's number 3, happy are the harnessed. See, meekness, it's not weakness. Meekness is power under control. Meekness is a harnessing of power. For example, Jesus said in Matthew 11:29, take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek. Jesus admits to meekness, yet the disciples were terrified of him because even the winds and the waves obeyed Jesus. Right? The religious leaders were cowed by Jesus because they couldn't outwit him. They couldn't trick him. Now, was Jesus powerful? Yes, undoubtedly powerful, but it was always power under control, a harnessed power. And what Jesus is teaching us is that the secret to meekness is not being the one who's in control. Let me say that again. It's one thing to have power under control. It's another thing to relinquish that control to someone else. So Jesus is saying God may have given you money, but put it under God's control. God may have given you power or popularity or status, but submit it to God and let him be in control of everything. Instead of shouting, I am number one, I want you to exclaim, God is number one. And I just do what God says. Does that make sense? Jesus, he's revealing these amazing secrets to happiness. He's saying, you want happiness? I've got the secrets. They don't look like what you'd think it would get you to happiness. But when you do them, and we've just looked at the first 3, when you're humble, when you go through pain, when you're meek, you will find happiness. Yes, the culture's going to tell you the opposite, that you'll be happier when you're selfish. But Jesus says, no, it's being unselfish. It's sacrificing for others that leads to true happiness. Let me show you through yet another clip. But I'm going to warn you, if you're kind of like me, I cry at Hallmark cards, you're going to be in trouble on this one. It's about a little girl on America's Got Talent. Get a Kleenex ready.
Wow, look at the signs, Mommy. I'm Angelica Hale, I'm 9 years old, and I'm in 4th grade.
Oh my gosh, oh, such a good greeting. Oh my gosh.
You're so pretty.
You're prettier.
I started singing when I was 2 years old. I love to sing. Look, Mommy. When I wake up in the morning, I hum to myself a little bit. And then at night when I take a shower, sometimes I just sing to myself, singing in the shower. Come on.
Who are these lovely people here?
That's my mommy and my dad.
That's Mommy and Daddy?
Yeah, she's special. We're a little biased being her parents and all, but 5 years ago, we never imagined that she would be here today. When Angelica was 4 years old, she started coughing and having fevers. We brought her into the emergency room, and that's when we found out she had double pneumonia, and her kidney stopped working.
Sweet creature.
Things were getting really bad really fast. They brought in a chaplain to talk with us.
We thought that we're about to lose her.
Don't know where we're going.
What saved her life is she got her kidney transplant from her mother.
Well, what did Mommy give you?
Mommy gave me her kidney.
Oh, Mommy gave you her kidney. Oh, let's hug Mommy.
She's my hero.
It's her dream to become a singer. Her being here today is a miracle.
If I won America's Got Talent, I would get a puppy. I would get a puppy, like a small, tiny puppy. Let's go.
Good evening. Hi. What's your name?
My name is Angelica Hale.
And where are you from?
I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. How old are you?
I'm 9 years old, and I just found out that I'm gonna be a big sister. You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round.
I told you. You see, there's something good in not meeting here on campus, because if you're a mess right now, you don't got to be wiping your eyes on your neighbor's shoulder, right? You can be a hot mess in private. But isn't that clip awesome? Here's my question for you. Who was the happiest person in that segment? It's her mom, right? I mean, no one can get as high as they can get in life without someone else sacrificing for them. You see, when you live selfishly, you don't lift up anybody else. You're too busy trying to lift yourself up. But when you sacrifice, when you serve, when you give, when you encourage others, it lifts them up. And when they shine, when they do well, the happiest person in the world is not them, it's you. How do you think Angelica's mom felt that night? You can feel that way too when you sacrifice for others. You know, many of you have discovered this about giving. I've told you one of the many reasons I give is because of this amazing side effect. It just makes me feel good, right? I give because the Lord tells me to, but I also give because there's a great side effect. And I tell you, it's counterintuitive. But when you put Jesus' secret into action, you'll discover that this is where a great deal of happiness comes from. You know what? I got time for just one more secret. I'm just going to throw it in here. Jesus said, verse 6, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they'll be filled." Which again, makes very little sense. I mean, come on, Jesus, when I'm hungry, I'm hangry, right? Any of you get a little short fuse when your tank is empty? You go out to eat and the service is slow, so you're like tearing through that bread basket like it's your last meal. Your kids know, stay clear of dad's bread basket or your hand's gonna get forked, right? Jesus said, and again, this makes no sense until you ponder it. He said, verse 6, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled," they'll be satisfied. Notice Jesus doesn't say, "Blessed are the righteous." Now it's true, the righteous are blessed, but that's not what he's teaching here. He says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness." Now what does that mean? It means you've got an insatiability. You don't want to settle. You want more. You want to be better. You want to grow. You want to mature in your faith, to love better, to care better, to be better. And let me put it like this. When it comes to physical hunger, right? When it comes to physical hunger, if you eat, then you're no longer what? You're no longer hungry. I mean, even the biggest eaters out there, right? Those guys that do the Nathan's hot dog contest, you know, eat like 100 hot dogs. When they eat, they're no longer what? They're no longer hungry. I mean, that always happens in the physical realm. But the exact opposite happens spiritually. For example, if you read your Bible on Monday and you read it again on Tuesday, what will happen on Wednesday? You'll want more. And if you don't read it on Monday, and if you don't read it on Tuesday, I guarantee you, you won't want it on Wednesday. Give me a high five in the feed if you feel that, right? You know that's true. See, when you connect to God, the result of that is an increased appetite for God. I just saw this stat right before this COVID-19 stuff, that the average American goes to church once a month. Once a month. You try eating once a month. That won't fly. But friends, the less you worship, the less you want to worship. The less you read the Bible, the less you hunger to read it. So you disconnect from God. You disconnect from growth. You disconnect from miracles. And you get stuck in a low-level, depressed life where you just seek entertainment 24/7 instead of growing and being challenged to do greater, grander things for the kingdom. You been there? Friends, that's not what God wants for you this summer. Yet how many of us, that's right where we are. I've been there. Maybe you too. Be honest. Has this happened to you? You ever skip reading the Bible for a bunch of days or weeks or months, and you discover you kind of lost your appetite for it? Put not me in the feed if that's never happened to you. And then go review the first point I gave today about humility. Now, if you're going, well, how do I get my appetite back, Ray? I'm glad you asked. It's challenge number 1. This challenge will restart your hunger for spiritual things. It's challenge number 3, really, on steroids. In challenge number 3, I dared you to spend 10 minutes reading this Sermon on the Mount every week. That's kind of a starter challenge. Challenge number 1 is to read the entire Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5 through 7, every day. Maybe you do it every morning. When you wake up, you start your day with Jesus. Man, it can't be a better way to start a day. Or maybe you go to bed with this passage. You know, it can't be a better way to end the day than to end it with the words of Jesus Christ. But here it is, challenge 1. Read the Sermon on the Mount every day for 8 weeks. You do 1. Read the Sermon on the Mount every day, and you commit to number 2, to watching all 8 messages as we dive into what Jesus is teaching. And I guarantee you that you're going to grow in your faith this summer. You'll grow more than you've ever imagined. And that's not because of anything I'm going to bring to the table. It's because these are the words of Jesus Christ. And you can't dive deep into Jesus without growing exponentially and having him transform your life. Will you do it? Will you commit to challenges 1, 2, and 3? I mean, if you want it easy, just do 2 and 3, right? But if you do 1 and 2, kind of 3's like all in, right? So are you guys in? Let's go full accountability here. If you're all in, email me. No weaseling out. Email me right now at heyray@thepointchurch.net. Let me know that this is going to be the summer that you're going to grow exponentially. Email me right now. And if you're not ready for that, well, that's fine. Maybe today you just need to get started with Jesus. You know, I've given my life to helping people get started with Jesus, to help them find and follow him. So if that's you, talk to God right now. Tell him. Tell God something like this. Say, God, I need you. I've been living my life without you. Forgive me. I've been selfish. I've been self-centered, and I haven't been thinking about you or what you want. Today, I'm not saying I understand everything, but tell him I know that Jesus died on the cross for me and rose from the dead, and I want Jesus in my life. Forgive me and come into my life. Would you pray that right now? Say, Jesus, forgive me. I believe you died for me. I believe you rose again. Lead me. Forgive me and lead me. Jesus, I just thank you for every person that just prayed that prayer. And they invited you in your life because I know you've promised to come in when we pray that prayer. And Jesus, I pray for all of us this summer, the summer of 2020, when our world's been turned upside down by so many things inside and out. I pray that, God, you would use this time in our history, in our lives, to grow us to greater points of intimacy with you. Use this sermon that your son preached 2,000 years ago to speak into our hearts and to show us the areas where we're just not thinking right, that we just don't get happiness, or we don't get how to deal with other people, or we don't get life in general. Use it to speak into our life and to transform us. For it's in Christ's name I pray. Amen. Hey friends, if you invited Jesus into your life, would you tell me? Would you email me right now at heyray@thepointchurch.net? I'd love to hear from you. And in fact, no matter what issues you've got going on, you can reach out to us for help anytime. Whether you're watching today from Europe or Asia or Africa or North, South, or Central America, wherever you are, we know there's over 200,000 of you now clicking in. We want to help you, really, and we're prepared to help you. Standing by right now is a team of therapists and pastoral care counselors who are ready to listen to your story and help provide the guidance you need for the life you want. Don't suffer in silence. Reach out right now for a listening ear. You can email us at help@thepointchurch.net, or if you live in Indiana, text TALK to 260-494-3778, and we'll send you a private one-on-one invitation to talk through navigating your next steps. And before I go, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, then hit that bell so we can let you know when another video drops. Let's stay connected, friends. I'll see you soon. Here's Deanna with some closing details.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I would love for you to go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel. We want to make sure that we're staying connected with you and that you're staying connected with us. We go live every Sunday at 9, 10:15, and 11:30. So again, go ahead, like and subscribe to stay connected. I'll see you soon.